Hi folks, Mrs. Hines here. So what we're going to do today is we're going to use two touch sensors to have our robot drive like a remote control bot. So basically I have this schematic here to kind of explain what's going to go on here. You're going to have one touch sensor plugged into say port 1, and that's going to control motor A. So when you are touching it, motor A will always go forward. But if you're not touching that button that's plugged into port 1, motor A will stop. The same is going to hold true for motor C. This could be motor D, motor B. It doesn't matter as long as it's different than A. One motor will make it turn left, one motor will make it turn right. So if you touch a different button, this one's plugged into port 2. Notice this was plugged into port 1, so we're using both of them. And if we have both of them pressed, A and C will make the robot go forward. If you're just pressing one, it turns one way. If you're not pressing the other one, it turns the other way. And we have these both in a loop. So in your code, you're going to start a new program, and you're going to name it right away. RC Bot, your name. And you're actually going to bring out two of these start buttons. You're going to have the robot do two things at once. And you're always going to have the robot check what it's doing. So what we're going to need is a loop that for this program is set to unlimited. We're going to use a switch, and basically what the switch does is when you are doing something, it does this. When you're not doing something, it does this. The touch sensor is the easiest one because it either is correct, 1, or it's not happening, 0. Versus the light sensors, ultrasonic sensors, sound sensors, those generally have values from 0 to 100. So what we want to have happen is the switch that's plugged into port 1, we want only motor A to go forward. So we're going to change this port, and we're going to have it set to on. If it's not being pressed, we want motor A to not do anything. So we want to have it turn off. We're going to do the same thing for a second part of it. So I can move this, delete that. When in doubt, you can delete it, bring it back in. And I can copy this, or I'm just going to pull it out just so I can show you again. But basically, you're going to use a loop. Your switch allows the robot to make a decision. Is someone pressing the button? Is someone not pressing the button? We're going to change that to port 2. And is it true? Motor C turns on. So under here, my actions, I'm going to have a large motor. Change that to motor C. And then if that is not happening, motor C, I'm not pressing the button, I want the motor to be off. You can change the power. If you have it go, more power will have it go, faster, but that's not always better. So if you have to be precise with your turns, perhaps 75 would be good. You could also program it with additional buttons. So say that you have 4 ports. So say for 3 and 4, you could have this be negative and this be positive. Or you can do nested loops. So basically you would have to go through and say, put another switch within a switch. If you'd like to discuss that option, or if you would like to think through it on your own, feel free. But this is RC Car using switches and loops for the EV3.